Well, right now we're going to take another look inside St. James Catholic Church in Long Island. This is where the funeral mass for New York City police officer Brian Moore is taking place right now. Inside and outside of this church, more than 30,000 police officers from around the country have gathered to say goodbye to an officer who had a short career, but as New York City Police Commissioner Bill Bratton said, proved himself to be an exceptional young police officer. Again, this is St. James Catholic Church on Long Island, where the funeral for police officer Brian Moore is happening as we speak. We'll have more on this throughout the day.
So sad. Yeah. Brian Moore, only in his mid-20s, was shot in the face May 4th while responding to a routine traffic stop, really.
Yep. And again, highlighting the danger that police officers face every single day.
Right, and he comes from a family of police officers.
After those other two New York City police officers shot, we reported on another officer shot and killed last week in Idaho, or maybe that was this week. It's hard to keep it straight.
I know, there's too many.
If
you can't keep them straight.
Right. All right, well, we're going to turn our attention to some other topics now. We want to talk about our roundtable and a big interview that Ed Berliner had on the Hardline last night. We'll have Larry Elder joining us here in just a second, but let's play that clip from John McCain and get your reaction. We don't have that clip from McCain?
I think we have to have the ability to monitor communications. It's pretty clear that 9/11 could have been prevented if we had known about some of the communications that went to those who committed. But we have to understand this threat, and people seem to have forgotten 9/11, Martha. People don't understand that there are thousands of young people all over the world who are motivated by this radical brand of Islam, which is our enemy.
All right. There you have it, Senator John McCain speaking with our very own Ed Berliner the other day.
As well last night, yeah.
Yeah. And time now to bring in our roundtable, and joining us now is Larry Elder from Newsmax in LA. Thanks for staying with us, or thanks for joining us on this Friday.
Morning.
All right, Larry, do you agree with John McCain? Do you think most of the folks in America have forgotten about 9/11 as we look ahead to this debate over the Patriot Act and what the NSA says, or I'm sorry, what this appeals court in New York says the NSA is doing wrong?
I wouldn't use the word forgotten about 9/11, but certainly we have gotten complacent because we've been fairly effective in preventing another large-scale attack like that. But I agree with John McCain, and I depart from some of my fellow libertarians on this issue. I'm a 9/11 libertarian. I believe that the Constitution is not a suicide pact, and we do have to have some sort of extensive phone mining in order to find patterns. The question is, do you trust the government? And I think the most important factor in looking for any presidential candidate is credibility and character. And if you look at somebody like Hillary Rodham Clinton, if she tells us that this phone mining program, for example, is not being intrusive, are you going to believe her? That's the problem. Do you trust the government?
Well, not a lot of folks, according to polls anyway, would trust Hillary Clinton right now, but that perhaps is a subject for a different day. Larry, again, this is going to make Congress's job a lot more difficult, especially the folks who feel the way you do, and they see the Patriot Act as something that is necessary.
Well, that's right. And this court did not throw out the Patriot Act. What it said is that this section of the Patriot Act, 215, does not authorize this massive phone mining that started under the Bush administration and continued under the Obama administration. It puts the onus now on Congress to do something about it. The court said if Congress wants to authorize this, go ahead and do so, but the language of the Patriot Act does not give them that authority.
Something else that might not be helping here is the fact that we learned that the FBI had been investigating these attackers down in Texas for a long time, following their social media feeds, but that wasn't enough to do anything to stop them.
Well, that's right. We live in a free society, in a civil society, and just because somebody is doing something you don't like, does that mean that that's actionable? And that's the problem with homegrown terrorism. That's why it's so successful. They use our laws, our Constitution, our freedoms in order to get around and travel and do bad things. We're going to have to use informants and other kinds of tools in order to ferret out bad people, but it's going to be very, very difficult. If you monitor mosques, it ticks off the people in the area. They feel as if they're being profiled. So what do you do in a free society?
Larry, let's switch gears a little bit. The Pentagon has gotten in a little bit of trouble. Apparently, civilian and military employees of the Department of Defense decided to use government credit cards to pay for gambling and a little adult entertainment.
Right.
You read this and you think, seriously? If you're going to do this, why? One of our producers said that, AJ, why on earth would you use a credit card? He's like, if I was going to do it, I would have used cash. Your
thoughts? You probably didn't have cash. The problem, of course, is the same problem we have with respect to the VA scandal. Nobody gets fired. They get chastised. There's some embarrassing headlines, but you look at the what happens in the aftermath, and nobody gets fired. How is it that people are going to be expected to behave responsibly when the worst that can happen to them is they have administrative leave, sometimes paid administrative leave?
Yeah, it also makes it difficult when you hear so many lawmakers, and you hear the Pentagon talking about the difficult of these year-to-year budgets that are going on, and this stuff is going on. Also makes his job a lot harder to convince Congress for a long-term military spending package. We'll see. Larry, can you stick around, talk with us a little bit more? We got more to get to.
I sure can.
All right, we'll be back.
Good. We'll be right back.
With Larry and more coming up here on Newsmax. Now we're going to talk about
some of those headlines that you sit there and scratch your head. Is that real? Yeah, we're going to help you decipher that. And joining us again for this Friday edition of our Roundtable is the one, the only, Larry Elder. I just had to do that, make you smile on this Friday. Radio host and regular Newsmax contributor joining us from LA. Thanks for sticking around.
My pleasure, Miranda.
All right, so yesterday, Secretary of Defense Ash Carter answered a few questions regarding the Jade Helm military training operation that's going on in Texas. Take a listen.
We have given information to authorities in Texas, any information that they've requested. We're very open and upfront about our training activities in the United States. We are very responsive to any local officials who want to know about our training. We are very transparent. We've tried to be very transparent in this case and answer all questions, give all information about what we're doing, about the need for it.
Larry, what's going on here?
That's a good question. I heard General Hayden, the former head of the CIA, say this. Here's the axiom that we have to deal with in this country, and we have to deal with as people in the intelligence community. When people are afraid, they want us to make them feel safe. Thus, we pass laws like the Patriot Act. Thus, we interpret 215, as we talked about a moment ago, very broadly. Once people feel secure, they feel equally empowered to get at us for making them feel insecure. So that is the pendulum that's going back and forth. I suspect the government's trying to do something on the border because they probably have heard something about people coming across, maybe other than Mexicans coming across, and they don't want to alarm us. But what's going on right now is the community is concerned about overreach. And overreach happens once we feel complacent.
Is this some secret mission to take away guns from people?
Because Governor Greg Abbott is he's getting some flack for the way he handled the situation. He has said that he was just concerned about the safety and security of Texans, but also perhaps sending the National Guard down there to check things out. Didn't really help out the situation, did it?
Well, again, it's because nobody really is telling the truth. Nobody really is communicating. We don't know why they're down there, what their real reason is. Thus, it's this kind of hysteria.
Yeah, hysteria is one word for it. And some folks wondering if that story was even real from the get-go. But that segues us into our next segment, Larry, which we call...
Because that was definitely real, but...
Real or fake. Sometimes stories get out there, and it's hard to tell whether or not they are fact or fiction. So, Larry, we're going to give you a little quiz on some of this week's top stories that may or may not be real. Starting with a Texas grandmother. She says she found a bag of cocaine in her granola bar package. We actually have a picture. The picture may be real or fake. The story, Larry, what do you think, real or fake?
I think that sounds like a real story to me.
It absolutely is a real story, as we hear Miranda tear into a granola bar on set.
I guess I should put this down then.
Does not have cocaine in it,
No, it's fine. I assure you it's just a granola bar.
You're right, Larry.
And I must say, I enjoy granola bars, but I've never spiked it with cocaine.
Well, good to know.
We're very happy to hear that, Larry. A baggie of cocaine was found in Nature's Valley granola bars. They certainly have some explaining to do. The woman did this interview here with ABC and said she contacted the company thinking it was a promotional gift, only to be told by the company that she should really just call the police.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, moving along. In 2013, Kanye told Ryan Seacrest that Kim Kardashian is more interesting than the Obamas, and he suggested that the Obamas live behind a wall of classism. Of course, that brings us to our next headline. So, here it is. Michelle Obama slams Kanye West. She finally wrote a letter to Kanye in response, and it was a fiery one. What do you think, Larry? What do you think, John?
I'll let Larry go first, because these are his friends.
I'm going to say no on that, because I remember Obama called Kanye West a jackass once for snatching the mic from Taylor Swift. So I think that probably is enough piling on for the Obama family. I don't believe the story.
Ding, 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 ding. You are correct. And the prize goes to Larry.
I'm gifted. What can I tell you?
You are. Kanye compared, as we said before, but Michelle Obama had nothing to say in response. True classiness.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
You know, Kanye, he's just such a genius, Larry. We should never question his artistic ability.
No, he's not a genius. He's a god. Remember?
Oh, right.
He
That's
Oh.
right. Jesus or
Yeah.
Chebus or whatever he calls it. I don't know.
Don't lower his stature. Don't go from
We
God.
don't want to do that.
He's-
That's not
he's
what
a
we're here to
god.
do. We support
gods are
Kanye's
geniuses.
artistic endeavors.
expression.
Yes, okay. One more to go here for you, Larry. There are, of course, a lot of strange scented candles on the market, but take a look at this headline. White Castle fires up burger scented candle. All right, Larry. Real or fake?
That story is so bizarre. It's got to be true. I'm going with that's true.
Yes, and it's real. It's true. White Castle actually introduced the slider candle back in 2010. The candle sold out in a matter of hours. Unfortunately, they were a one-time thing for National Hamburger Month in May, but that doesn't mean you can't get burger candles now. A website called Lola.com will sell a whole candle combo meal, which I believe includes a milkshake, French fries, ketchup, and the hamburger. We have the picture on the screen
Wow.
for you if you really
Wow.
wanted to get a whiff. If
No.
the fast food
No.
itself was not enough.
No, thank you. Do you like White Castle burgers, Larry?
I do like White Castle
Do you?
burgers. They're huge out here in California. Eat 2 or 3 of those
My
things.
husband
they're,
likes them.
They're
I
called
just-
sliders because they slide right through you after you eat them.
TMI, Larry Elder.
Yeah.
TMI.
Good to see you, Larry. When we come back, we're going to talk about a galaxy far, far, far away. Scientists discover what may be the furthest galaxy from Earth ever. So how far? We'll tell you. Coming up.